So good.
Lancaster!
Welcome, goodies. That's you. I'm Jason Mundock, and this is So Good Lancaster. You know, we're living in an era of hyper-connectivity, walking around with supercomputers in our pockets 24 hours a day. So it might seem ironic that we're also facing a loneliness epidemic. The U.S. Surgeon General's report from last year highlighted the devastating impact of social isolation on our health and well-being. Social isolation and loneliness are associated with an increased risk of premature death, comparable to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day.
That is nuts.
It also increases the risk of dementia, heart disease, stroke, depression, anxiety, and substance abuse disorders. But what's one antidote? Community.
Community.
And we're really lucky here in Lancaster to have a vibrant community that values being together and supporting local initiatives. That's where events like Art Recess at Zoetropolis come in. It's a monthly gathering hosted by Natalie and Salina from the Pennsylvania College of Art and Design Center for Creative Exploration. It's not just about creating art, it's about creating community.
Events like these help. They create those spaces where you can come together, and they also create these experiences that help you, disconnect in a good way. Mm-hmm. To really focus in on something else and to find, some peace and comfort and, lower those stress levels and connect with people in a different way.
And TCF member and our good friend Joe is a Lancaster artist who is building community through initiatives like Creative Release and a group that focuses on the artist's way. That's a book about nurturing your creativity and removing creative blocks.
There is an energy that's created from these people coming together in a creative spirit and with that maker's intentionality behind it. I think it's so important for artists to be around other artists.
Today on the program, we're building community through art in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Right here, right now.
Let's go. So Good Lancaster is powered by the Candy Factory, also known as TCF, a co-working and social club in downtown Lancaster, Pennsylvania. ClubTCF.com.
Check it out.
It's time. This is So Good.
So good.
So Good Lancaster.
Throughout history, art has been a fundamental part of the human experience.
It goes back to being cave people.
This is Joe.
I am Joe Davis. I am an artist, and I also help people bring art into their lives for well-being, personal growth.
That's very noble.
Yeah, I care about the world. When humans were first starting to use tools, we were drawing. We were drawing right around the time we were making fire. It's this essential element of getting things out that we can't express otherwise. And so I think when we come together as people to create artwork in the same space, something happens that's similar to when people share a meal. People who maybe aren't so familiar with each other.
Right.
It opens up the space to be a place where interesting conversations can start. People can start to get a little bit beneath the surface of who they are and share more about who they are, which is authentic to building, which is essential to building an authentic community, a community that is rich and meaningful.
For over a year, Joe has been facilitating an open studio called Creative Release right here at the Candy Factory. On select Saturday mornings of the month, Joe has art supplies ready to go for anyone to drop by and engage in some creative flow. The open studio stays open at TCF on all other Saturdays for folks to bring their projects and get creative with other humans.
It's open to anyone and everyone. It's a place where folks can come and be around other friendly people. It's a place to unwind and create. People come, they show up with projects that they're already working on or things that they have in mind. But a lot of people show up and aren't really sure what to do. And so I have materials there so that anybody can kind of get started on making art in whatever way. Sometimes there's people who really don't know anything about making art or never really tried it. And so I'm always there to give a little bit of guidance or instruction. There's coffee flowing. It's a wonderful energy that happens. And it's so fun because, there's regulars, there's people that are always there every Saturday, but there's always new folks flowing in, and there's conversation that's always happening around the art making.
So we're bringing people together to do something that has been part of the human experience forever. It's not just fun, it's good for you. A 2021 study published in the Journal of the American Art Therapy Association found that participants in a clay-based group art therapy program showed significant decreases in both loneliness and hopelessness compared to the control group. So hanging out, making stuff together makes you feel better. I'll take it. Another example of bringing people together to make art comes from our friends at PCAD, the Pennsylvania College of Art and Design, through a program called Art Recess.
So I'm Natalie Lassick. I'm the executive director of the Center for Creative Exploration at Pennsylvania College of Art and Design.
And I'm Salina Almanzar-Ori. I'm the assistant director and teaching artist in the Center for Creative Exploration at Pennsylvania College of Art and Design.
We call ourselves CCE.
CCE, I like that. Center for Creative Exploration.
Yeah, so it's trying to encompass like all the things that we do. So I'm going to steal some of Selina's language because I always love it, is that we serve the community and region ages 1 through 100 with creative experiences. So when most people think of the college, they're thinking of like degree programs or certificates or other credentials. But what's cool about PCAD and other art colleges is they oftentimes have an US, which is, part continuing education, things that you would think about, right? Like if you needed to take a Photoshop class or you're like, hey, I want to take this workshop with Salina and learn more about mural making. Like we have that. But we also have stuff that's fun. If you've just always wanted to do watercolor, if you're really wanting to do a deep dive in creative writing or talk with a bunch of literature nerds about Don Quixote, like we have that.
That's great.
But it's also things for all of those younger creatives and artists. So there's high school programming that we call pre-college programming. That doesn't necessarily mean that as a high school student, like you have to go to college, but it is kind of getting you in that mindset of like, what is a college studio like? What does it look like to work in design or other creative fields? And that can be small bite workshops all the way up to our summer programming, which is credit-bearing classes for students so they can get a jump on college work if they want to. And then a ton of stuff for children in grades 1 through 9. So again, workshops, classes on Saturdays in the summer. It turns into summer camps, and also events out in the community. So like we'll show up at Pride. We do things at Zoetropolis. We partner with other organizations like the DeMuth Foundation and things for the community. We are contracted by the city of Lancaster to do First Friday engagement at Yule Plaza. This is going to be our 3rd year doing that. It was previously called Art Alley. Now it's First Friday Markets and Makers. So it's intergenerational, like hands-on. Let's get in the arts. Let's do things for the city. So it encompasses all creative exploration. I hope I nailed it.
Yeah, I think so. I like to say it's like anything under the creative umbrella. Because, in our history, we've done, I don't think we'll do them again, but we've had like culinary arts things, so like jam making, turning a pillowcase into a tunic. So it's really part of our history to really embrace creativity in all of its forms.
One of those things that the Center for Creative Exploration does out in the community each month is Art Recess. Like Creative Release, these events are free and open to the public. Now, they won't turn down a donation to help out with supplies, but that's not the point. It's about bringing people together to explore, to create, to make some new connections with other people.
It's a drop-in event, so there's no registration. Anybody's welcome to come. And what's cool is it's now hosted at Zoetropolis. Over this past year, we started offering it at their Snug Bar, which is between the restaurant and the theater. So like a nice gathering space. You can get dinner, you could get a drink. It's very casual. You can bring something that you're already working on, and maybe you just want to be in a different environment to work on that. You can use all the stuff that we have to create something, but it's for adults only at that point. And there's like a real lack of play as we get older, and spaces where we can gather and not necessarily feel like there's something super prescribed to do. And I think I'm a person who loves to fidget and do things in nervous situations if I am meeting new people. So the fact that there would be art supplies is perfect for me. And I think like as we create and do things, it naturally creates the opportunity for conversation between folks. Like, what are you working on? What are you doing? Or what's that thing that you're using? And so I think, based on that, it's a great way to get into a place where if you love being creative, want to be around other creatives, it's a really like low stakes, low key way to engage.
Another tool in our toolbox to combat the loneliness epidemic is co-working. If you have workplace flexibility and can work from anywhere, you know how lonely it can be working from home. You're going to want to check out the Candy Factory Co-working and Social Club, also known as TCF. You can work around other humans in real life and get social with a bunch of clubs, activities, and events. TCF offers community, full-time, and private office memberships and day passes if you're just passing through town. Check out clubtcf.com, book a tour, and get plugged in.
When I am around other people,
I would say I'm probably a little more carefree with what I make. I have less pressure on myself because when I'm in my studio, I'm focusing in a different way. I'm probably going a little bit deeper or just get more in my head. When I'm with other people, I'm just kind of messing around.
It's good for, I guess, if you're nervous about what others see of you painting, to kind of get over it, because when people are coming by, you're just like, oh my goodness, are they seeing what I'm seeing, what I'm doing? And you kind of get over
You're
it.
relying on their interpretation of their own emotions, which may not be good. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
So you never, ever really know. But yet we do this so much to ourselves constantly, where we're like preoccupied with what other people are going to think.
About how many people show up? Ballpark. Like on an average.
It fluctuates. It fluctuates pretty severely. So some days it's just like us and maybe 3 other people. And that might be if we're like competing with good weather outside or bad weather.
It's funny how you have to have just meh weather. Like the optimal, the optimal weather is like maybe overcast and, maybe a little chilly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then other times we've had as many as like 60 people show up, 40 to 60 people.
Wow.
Not all at once. There are folks that drop in. They'll do something quick. We have like coloring pages. So those are like quick, grabby things. And then things that are a lot more involved, like masterpiece level projects that people get into. I think lately, though, what's been great partnering with Zoetropolis is they have that patio that they share with Cocina Mexicana and Second Gear. So people have brought art supplies outside, and that's kind of been a cool way because then other folks are passing by. Maybe they were just going to get an early dinner. Maybe they were just going to get a drink, and then they see people making like Beto art. They're like, oh, I haven't done that since I was in 5th grade. Let me see what's going on over here. And so it's like becomes a little feedback loop where the curiosity gets sparked.
A common thread between art recess and creative release is this idea of play. It's something we unlearn as we grow up. It seemed a lot easier as a kid to just get together with other kids and do stuff without the need to feel like an expert, because who even knows what that means as a kid? But then comes middle school and the teenage years where those fears creep in and we stop playing just for the sake of playing, especially around other people. And the less we do with others, the easier it is for loneliness to surface.
I think with adults, like to Natalie's earlier point, like even in our classes, the biggest barrier is we say like, oh, I'm not good at this.
Yeah.
Or you expect to be immediately good, even though you've never done encaustic or you've never done like painting before. And it's just, we have this like hang up as adults that we have to be good at the thing, or it's like graded, or like it's just embedded in us. So with art recess, that does come in most of the time for most people that don't technically consider themselves creative. And there's this like, I feel sometimes like we're in a confessional. They see us and they're just like, I must confess I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not going to be very good. And we're like, no, it's okay. And it's kind of our job to coax people into trying something different. So they might start with a coloring page and then see somebody doing Beto art, and that feels really friendly. And then they do that, and then they might see somebody doing chalk art, and they'll kind of jump around. And by the end, if they're still feeling like, I'm not very good at this, or this isn't very good, I'm like, yeah, but how do you feel? And they're like, I feel so much better.
Yeah, it's amazing how we as adults, the things that we do, we have done for so long. Like the things that we identify. I'm a musician. I've been a musician since I was, a kid. In rock bands since high school. That was a long time ago, the 1900s. I expect everything to be at this level, even though I spent 35 years doing this thing. You know what I mean? When I take on some new thing, it's frustrating. And you have to stop and think to yourself, it's a long time. And I had no inhibitions as a high school kid playing in a rock band. I could screw up all the time. I didn't care, But boy, we do really get hung up on that, don't we?
We do. Yeah.
But hey, getting together with other people in a judgment-free zone and expressing ourselves through art is certainly one way to combat loneliness. In a 2023 article, The Effect of Art Therapy on the Loneliness of Older Adults, a guide by Frederica Wald, the author suggests that participating in art therapy, including group settings, can help reduce loneliness in older adults by providing opportunities for social interaction, self-expression, and creative engagement. Well, if it works for older folks, why can't it be helpful for all folks? Natalie and Salina see this at Art Recess. Regulars come back, friendships are formed, it becomes a thing that people plan to do together.
So we have a mother-daughter pair that's come quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's their time to hang out. We have had folks meet up there with friends specifically to gather. It's sort of like their monthly thing where maybe it changes location, but we're one of their locations to put into the mix to meet up. And I've definitely seen some conversations spark. You know, I don't know. Tell us. Like, have you made a friend connection? Yeah. But at least in the moment, you know, there's because it is such a casual space. Like there's couches and like, I don't know, big fluffy chairs. And so we have seen people where it's like, oh, there's only a couple seats open. Can I join you? And then we see conversations spark from that. So that's been kind of cool.
Yeah, I think we've gotten, at least the conversations I've had more recently, there have been quite a few folks that are new to the area that saw the flyer up somewhere or somebody told them about it or they saw it on Instagram and then they've come out. So it's been a way for them to say like, oh, I'm a creative. I'm not from here, or I just relocated back here. And I'm just feeling my way around. So I think the connections do happen organically for sure.
Joe finds similar connections forming at Creative Release. Newcomers find their way to the gatherings and regulars welcome them. They can jump right in and start making art or find a nice quiet spot to work on something more personal. Either way, it's about being together with other humans.
Yeah, I would say there is, without a doubt, a sense of camaraderie between some of the folks that develop through being there mostly regularly. I can't say, I mean, I definitely see connections made when new people come in and meet others that are already there. And what's cool about that is then the people around who might be new kind of just join into that flow because that vibe is set sort of.
That's community building, right?
Yeah.
That's the magic of it.
Absolutely. It's so cool. I mean, some people show up and, you know, they've got a project and they're going to like write in the corner, sit and write in the corner. But they're there for a reason. They're not just sitting there and writing at home on a Saturday. They're there because there is an energy that's created from these people coming together in a creative spirit and with that maker's intentionality behind it.
What is the future of Art Recess?
We just started at Zoetropolis about a year ago, doing this in the evenings, sort of like during a happy hour time, specifically like once a month on a more regular basis. So that feels like something big for us. But we have like taken it on the road. So to that end of, folks wanting to engage us, like we have gone to the Grotto, which is a co-working space in York to do it. We will have an engagement with the library coming up. So we don't mind taking things on the road if people are like, hey, we'd love to see it in a different space or maybe at a different time to capture different folks in our community.
Yeah, I think the expansion is more like what are the other weird tools and supplies we could bring in for now. Like we talked about, like, oh, maybe we can get like some needle felting or something like that and have that for folks to experiment with, and just collecting feedback from what we've noticed has been popular, or it sometimes becomes a testing ground for us to think about other possible workshops or classes or even like community simple projects. Like can this be accomplished in a short amount of time, and we can test it at Art Recess, and it's
right.
like allows us to kind of practice proof of concept. So that's the expansion I feel comfortable with as a 2.5 woman team.
Well, I tell you, I have no idea what needle felting is, but I'm sure that what popped in my head is not. There's no way.
The arts are a really important way for us to engage in wellness. And when we talk about like this huge issue of like loneliness, an epidemic of loneliness in our society, like events like these help. They create those spaces where you can come together, and they also create these experiences that help you like disconnect in a good way, like to really focus in on something else and to find like some peace and comfort and like lower those stress levels and connect with people in a different way.
Are you looking for the perfect space for your next meeting, media project, or private event? Well, TCF has you covered. Our conference rooms are perfect for meetings with your team or your clients. Our media studio can accommodate photography, audio, and video production. And our 6th-floor venue has everything you need to throw an unforgettable private party or retreat. Book now at lancastervenue.com and take your next event to the next level. Hey there, goodies. We want to hear from you. What do you think makes Lancaster so good? Whether it's our vibrant community, beautiful landscapes, delicious food, or unique events, we want to know what you love most about Lancaster. That's not all. If you have any fun announcements you'd like us to share on the show, we're all ears. Birthdays, local happenings, new business openings, you name it. If it's good, we want to spread the word. Head over to sogoodlancaster.com and submit your comments. Your thoughts and announcements could be featured on an upcoming episode of the podcast. Thank you for being part of our So Good Lancaster family.
It's definitely unique because sometimes there's people that, they've never created before. So being in a comfortable environment where, you can just kind of express whatever you have inside. There's always that warm and welcoming environment where you can literally just release whatever it is you have in your system. It's something about being around the people that you find yourself being more creative.
It's very therapeutic, calming. It's fun.
I think it's an interesting experience, and I'm actually making art, I guess, of future rock climbing, I guess, because that's what I'm assuming this is about.
In addition to creative release and facilitating creative workshops, Joe also leads groups to explore personal creative journeys. Bringing like-minded people together around a book or shared interest is another way to get people interacting and building relationships. She recently led a group through a reading of The Artist's Way, a book by Julia Cameron. This is a 12-week program that focuses on removing creative blocks and helping the reader reconnect with the inner artist. It's encouraged to explore the book with others, to inspire and encourage each other, to hold each other accountable, and to build community around the creative process. Here's Joe.
It's been an incredible experience as far as finding sort of a safe space where people share what they're going through in unfolding the things that are holding them back from making art. But also it ends up just going so much on a deeper level. So there's been some fascinating conversations and really, I would say, wonderful friendships through that group.
Yeah, I'm an alumni of The Artist's Way.
Yeah.
It was about 2008-09, somewhere around there. And there was a real depth to the exploration that we did together.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt like I became much closer with the people that I was participating with. The group that you're leading are these folks who knew each other or are these folks who didn't know each other, or a mix?
It's majority folks that have never met each other. And, I was pleasantly surprised. There's been a solid number of people that have really stuck with it week to week.
I think you have to. I really think you have to commit.
You do. Exactly. And some people don't. Things like this, people
of course.
drop out. But no, it's been interesting in that way. And you're right. It happens to be a book that, creativity is so essential to human beings and who we are. And so when we're uncovering and we're thinking about what's blocking us from letting that creativity flow, undoubtedly you're going to start uncovering other things that are going on in your life that have more significance. So yeah, it ends up being this space of people get vulnerable, which is kind of cool.
That was my experience as well. It was challenging. Have you seen then friendships forming through that? Almost like a club that, you'll never forget that experience with those other people.
I think so. Is that what you found?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I can still point back to very specific things that came from that.
Yeah.
And when I'm with those people, we might make a reference to it, and we all know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's so cool. This is my first time going through it. And it's funny because I had never read it before, and it's interesting to me because the things that she reviews, the things that she discusses are all things that I sort of came to on my own and have come to on my own. So it's interesting in that way where it validates a lot of the things that I've discovered. But because of that, I kind of had an arrogance going in where I was like, I kind of know all this stuff. Like, I'm just really helping other people, figure this out. And, week by week, I keep getting deeper and deeper into just how much it can, I think it's limitless what you can uncover and what
Absolutely.
You can get out of it. It's cool.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Do you know of other places or people who are doing community building through art here in Lancaster?
Yeah, I think SO Arts seems to be doing a really great job of that. They've been consistent in producing events and opportunities for other artists to come together in a welcoming spirit. So I would say, that them. West Art is doing a great job. It's been fun to see things evolve over there. They've been kind of building this community art center in a way where allowing the community to be the builders. And that's just absolutely the right way to do it. It's like how you guys do things here at the Candy Factory.
Yeah, absolutely. The membership guides
the
ideas, and then then we implement.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it does evolve and grow. Curio also, they're a gallery and art supply store, small little space across from PCAD, and they have a little workshop space in the back, and they do a lot of cool things to bring folks together. Whether it is they have a sketchbook club, so you can just show up and you're working in your sketchbook. It's kind of free to the public, and then they have various workshops and different ways to kind of learn, but also be with other artists.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What's it like? I would say fun, and kind of allows me to think through things and figure out how I want to express myself in a communal setting.
You can kind of zone out into it more when you're around other people instead of like focusing on what you're trying to make.
I happen to like seeing what other people are doing and helping them if they want to.
You know what happens when you make art together? You laugh together.
That's right.
You know, while art is by no means the only vehicle to combat isolation and the loneliness that comes from it, it is a powerful medium to facilitate gatherings and encourage creativity, exercise the brain, and at the same time meet some new people and make some new friends. Big thanks to Joe, Natalie, and Salina for stopping by the So Good Media studio to chat about ways that we're building community through art right here in Lancaster. You can check out Joe's art and learn more about all the services she's offering to the community at joedavis.art. And follow her on Instagram at the same handle, joedavis.art. You can find Natalie and Salina's work at the Pennsylvania College of Art and Design online at pcad.edu. That's pcad.edu. And follow the PCAD Center for Creative Exploration on Instagram at pcad_CE. That's it for today. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. In the meantime, stay good, Lancaster. Stay good. So Good Lancaster is produced at So Good Media in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Our production staff is Ann Kirby, Georgia Hall, and Star Snyder, and I do a few things here and there as well. Find us online at sogoodlancaster.com and follow us on all the socials. Have any comments, questions, or want to learn more about how So Good Media can help you with your podcast and media productions? Drop us a line at hello@sogoodmedia.studio.